G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and today I want to talk to you about the GoPro Hero 10 that I've had for 3 months now. And I thought I'd do a video on what I like, what I don't like about it. So having used this extensively and enjoyed it, and I was previously a GoPro skeptic, wasn't too pumped on them, I think I'm converted now. So this video will give you some of the ins and outs, the ups and downs, what I like and don't like about the camera, to see if it might be something you might want to invest in or not from someone who's now used it quite extensively. So if there's a green border that turns around the screen, that means we're talking about something that's good. We'll put a bit of a score up here. If there's a red border that comes around the screen, it means we're talking about something that's a bit, and we'll put a score up here, and you can see how it tallies along by the end of the video to see if it's something that you might want to invest in, given that it's been out for 3 months and they've ironed out some of the kinks. Let's go. I love the time lapse and the night lapse functions on it. It allows you to do all the way down to a 1/4 second interval. On the night lapse, it feels like long exposure that you're being through this kind of warped light tunnel. I love it. I love it. I love it. I use it a lot. The battery takes 2 to 4 hours to charge. It takes forever to charge. That does my head in. I've got a spare battery, which I use, but the fact that this takes a long time to recharge, depending on how you're using it, whether you're using a battery pack, like so, or whether you're plugging it into the mains or a computer, it takes more time than you would hope it would take to charge on a regular basis. When you use this at night, you have a lot of control over the shutter. So how long the shutter's open, how much light it absorbs, and you have a lot of control over the ISO, which again allows you to create more light and bring more light in and catch more detail of what's happening, which you might otherwise miss. I love that. It takes GoPro 9 batteries. I don't have a GoPro 9, but if I did, that'd be a win. It's just developed an Enduro battery. You know, the Enduro battery, there's some tests out there and it gives and goes, but if it means you can use the camera in really cold instances and you'll get between 16 and 30% more battery life. But if you use an Enduro battery in this, that's the same ampage, the same size, the same shape in here, for an extra $5 to $10 US, you can actually get 150% more energy out of the battery. That is a massive win, because the battery life in this is abysmal at the moment. So I was shot the other day a 1 second interval 4K time lapse, and it gave me an hour and a half before it died. It was so frustrating. I needed to go for 3 hours. I thought, easy done. So it's a challenge, the battery life you get out of this. Now you can plug a USB-C plug with a power battery pack into this camera, and you can film and you can shoot as you go along. That's a super win. However, if your battery life is dimming, the battery will struggle to keep up with the use of batteries. So check out your milliampage and make sure your battery is a greater milliampage than the milliampage in here, which is 2180, I think. Slow-mo at 240 frames a second at 2.7K is awesome. Oh, I'm in love with slow motion. I have been for a long time, but it's just epic. And at 2.7K, now it's not 4K, but it's way better than 1080p, and the quality is just gorgeous. You can shoot up to 5.3K on this little camera. Now, disclaimer, that is amazing. I don't use it. I only shoot in 4K because I only ever need to shoot in 4K. But if by some random reason you need to shoot in 5.7, or you're really worried about your compositional skills and you want to crop down afterwards, it has 5.3K, which is the quality. The quality at 4K is astounding. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Woo! It's a winner. It has 4 different fields of view. It has super view, wide, linear, and narrow. And I use those options a lot. Some modes you use on the camera limit the field of view that's accessible to you. So if you're shooting photos, you can only shoot on a wide field of view. However, if you're shooting bursts, you have a little bit more freedom. And so there's some challenges around that. It would be great if you had 4 options that you could use regardless of how you use the camera. I took this out to do some long exposure photography, to do some star trails photography, and to do some Milky Way photography. And there'll be a playlist at the end of this video where you can check out all those other videos, heating tests, a whole bunch of different things that we've done with this camera. But the quality of night images is amazing. The quality of day images is astounding. However, you can only shoot in wide, but the quality of night images is like, you want to stretch it and push it really, really good. Now to the big one, the big question I had when I bought this camera is, will it freeze on me all the time? And I am pleased to know that the only time it ever freezed on me was when I took it out of the box and tried to set it up. I've got a short, again, at the end in the playlist. However, it hasn't frozen on me once, and it hasn't overheated, and I've used it to do a ton of different things. I've even done some overheating tests, but the use I have for it and the way I've been using it, whether it be extended shoots on a mountain bike, whether it be just little stuff around at home, whether it be sit and time lapse, or I shot 4K for as long as it would possibly shoot, and it never overheated. So kudos to you, GoPro. Really seems like you're getting ahead of this. The aquaphobic coating on this lens is amazing if it's fresh water. If it's rain or freshwater, pool water, it just slides right off like it was never there. If it's salt water, it does stick around a bit, and it does mark and leave your frame a little bit dirty, especially if it's sweat. It's a bit warm in here too, these new lights. Do you like my new lights? Woohoo! If you like this so far, please subscribe. Give me a like. Please give me a like. Go on, just hit it. It costs you nothing. Take you 2 seconds. Thanks very much. Let's move on. You can mount this to just about anything, and you can do it the use of these little feet that are tucked in, which I just love, that you don't have to screw anything in. You just pull it out and it's GoPro ready for any mount. You can mount it to anything. It's really adaptable. It's really clever. And the clipped in feet, oh, look, it's like they were never there. Now the price, let's talk about the price in US dollars. You can currently buy this at the time of recording. Just think about this, people. You might not watch it right now at the time of recording, but the time of recording in US dollars is $349.98. That's insane. I paid $549.98 from it. It's come down $200 in 3 months. So that's good and it's bad. But what sucks is that GoPro's loyal customers end up paying way more than late adapters. And it just frustrates me how businesses do that. I get why they do it. It's just, they're just not valuing those of us that are invested early on. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on. The stabilization on this camera is insane. So you can use hypersmooth, you can turn hypersmooth on or off, you can boost hypersmooth, which does crop in on what you're originally intending, but the hypersmooth is amazing. And then you can put horizon leveling on, which only works on a linear field of view. But that, you can tip it like this, you can do everything with it, and it feels like it's bolted to the earth. It's insane. So here's a little bit of a clip just to show you what it's like. This is just with hypersmooth on, not with leveling on, but incredible the quality of shot you can get out of this little camera because of the stabilization abilities. It's got lots of front screen, like it's got a front screen, but it's got lots of options. You can turn the front screen off if you want to or need to conserve power for doing some of the other things you're going to do with it. You can look at the accurate front screen. You can have a cropped front screen, or you can have an info that tells you how much time's left or what sort of video you're shooting or what number shot you're up to. So really, really handy. I love that. Audio quality. Now, I've done a video on this, again, in the playlist at the end. The audio quality is okay. Like, it's not die on the hill, but it's okay. However, it would be great if it had a microphone jack in it, like an external microphone jack, and it doesn't. It only has a USB-C and the battery, which you could just stick another one in there. You just bump the USB-C across and stick it in there. Yeah, you know, you've got to complain about something, right? Not really. I hate people complain. Sorry, complaining. Let's move on. This camera is as clear underwater as it is out of water. So the murkiness that you might experience through this is based on the murkiness of the water, not the murkiness in the camera. You can take it underwater and get as clear shots as you see outside. It's based, if you don't get clear shots, it's because your water is not super clear. There are presettings, so every time you load up your options for video, you can set what presettings you have. So you might want to have a 5.3K and a 2.7K and a slow-mo, and then a 4K at 30 frames a second or whatever. You've got options on the menu that you can just go to and enjoy and get the most out of really, really quickly. You can also put shortcuts. So in the top four corners, in the four corners of the screen, you will be able to have whatever options you like there. So if you're finding that often you're using a certain element, a certain setting that you just want to keep go to, you want to change it around, you can actually pre-program it. So it's on the screen, just hit it and away you go. When you pull this out of water, the water sits on the microphones and it sounds muffled. I don't know how you ever fix that, but again, if you're looking to nitpick, one of the challenges, but every action camera I've ever used has the same problem. The color profile on it is epic. You've got vibrant, which looks like this. You've got neutral or natural. Yeah, it's natural, it's not neutral. It looks like this. Or you've got flat. That looks like this. I mainly shoot on natural and then I tweak it because I don't like your natural GoPro colors that are super saturated and super contrasty, and flat for me is just too much work. And so I shoot nearly everything on a natural color profile and it comes out trumps. As I said before, USB-C charging is good and you don't need therefore another charger for your camera to lock into. You can just plug the USB-C into here and a USB into the wall, into a power pack, and you're good to go. USB-C downloading of footage is rubbish. This is pre-firmware update, so it hasn't had the new firmware updated to it, which may solve some of the problems. And I'm going to do another video in due course about how effective the firmware has been in making this camera an even better camera. But when you plug in a USB-C to here and you plug it into a computer to download the footage, it doesn't matter what cable you have. I use Final Cut Pro and I've struggled every single time. It's been an absolute nightmare. So the only way around it is you pull out the little memory card that sits in there and you stick it in one of these adapters that looks remarkably exactly the same as this, and into one of them, stick it in your SD slot in your camera, and away you go. But gosh, it'd be handy if you could just open this up, plug in a cable, and away you go. Maybe it's a problem I'm just having, but I can't solve it. So maybe the new firmware will solve it up, but I can't. You can program this camera that when you turn it off, it turns on back to the last setting you were using, or it turns on to a specific video or time-lapse or photo setting of your choosing. I really love that, and I also love the fact that when it's on, you can click the on and off button and it circles between video, time-lapse, and photo, so you can easily change that without having to go through all the menu. The menu is really effective, mind you, really easy on the touch, and I have big meat sausage fingers and it still works pretty good. Woo! How did our scores go? So how did I go? Is it the camera for you? By now you should know. And I tell you what, right now is the best time to buy this camera. I don't think you'll see prices as cheap as it is right now, especially on GoPro's site. So hopefully you watch this just in time to snag one for yourself. If you want to help me out, and if Amazon have a decent price, there's a link in the description below. There's a playlist at the end of this video for you to hit up all the other action camera videos I've made. And otherwise, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe. That would mean the world to me. Give me a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next video.